Hello everyone, my name is Romain. I'm an indie iOS developer based here in Singapore. And today I'm going to talk about how to design a flexible metrics engine for applications that include statistics in particular. Okay, so we all know that feeling, right? You just ship a feature, users love it, and you feel great. But there's always a but. But then your product manager asks something like, can we show the average user choice by food type, like compare French food to Singaporean food? And you're like, oh yeah, give me a second. And you do something like that, right? You have, let's say, food data, and you write a filter to check which food contains things like baguette or croissant to find French food, or chicken rice or banana for Singaporean food, pizza and pasta for Italian. And then you do the counts and you compare everything in a pie chart. And this approach works, kind of. But it's pretty cumbersome. And the nightmare will repeat. For every new statistics like that you will have to incorporate into your app, like for example, you want to do new breakdown by region, by restaurant, month, etc., or any new metrics you want to introduce. We just did a count, but what if you want to calculate an average, maximum, or average speed, etc.? Every time you will have to rewrite a logic that is similar yet different. So you can feel like there's probably a better way, right? I love statistics because it's a great way to let the user feel their progress towards what they want to achieve with your app. But it can be painful to handle as a developer. We can get lost and it can be a problem. So I made those mistakes in the past. I know the fact that I used to play around with similar data around my app. I tried to ship too fast instead of focusing on long-term benefits. And I mixed the creative phase with the scaling phase for too long. And I'm going to talk about those two phases again a bit later. So I scratched my head. I asked myself, could there be a way to handle statistics that is clean, flexible, and scalable? And here's my solution. What I came up with, a custom metrics engine, which is basically a big reusable structure. So I wanted to share with you today how I did it. But first, the benefits of this approach are it's easy to use. Instead of the code we had earlier, we could have something like, let's say you were building a habit tracker application. You could have your engine here, habits, and do .category, .it, .dish, .baguette, .count, for example. Or instead of .dish, you could do .food carrying, .italian, and calculate, let's say, the frequency. Or if you want all the check-in towards your entire habit system, you could just do .check-in.count. So the idea here is that you have groups of data and you have metrics. And we could even chain more groups on metrics if you wanted to. So it's a clean syntax with chaining, with built-in data segmentation and metrics. As a reminder, this is our code from earlier. So as you can see, it's easier to filter towards Italian food, for example, doing this. Okay. And it's also cleaner if you want to build a chart, let's say using Swift charts. You just map your data on, use the name and the check-in.count, for example, for the bar chart value. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to read. And it is flexible. Here are some examples of what you could do. You want to show an average completion rate, writing this, or you want to compare total check-in. The interesting thing in this example is that we changed the grouping, the data grouping, as weekly, for example. Display longer stretch, make a chart of improvement over time, etc., etc. So here's how it works. We're going to build a small habit tracker app together. So step one, we define the models. Here I have one enum for a habit category, mind and health, one enum for habit ID, meditation and workout, for example. So meditation belongs to the mind category and workout to the health category in this example. And then I have the structure that holds my core data, my basic data, which is a session with a duration and a date. So note that habit session can apply to meditation session or workout session. It has to be can apply to any habit. That's step one. Step two, we're gonna build our habit stat structure. So this is the most important piece. This holds the data, so it holds the sessions. And the interesting thing is that it also computes the statistics you need. For example, the completions here that use the raw data, the sessions, and counts them to return the number of completion. We have the last session as a date that takes the maximum date through the session, and is today completed a boolean that checks whether or not one of your sessions contains today. And here I have a small convenience initializer to make an empty habit stat. That is step two. Step three, we define our category stat struct. This is what we are gonna use to define our dot notation through the categories. So we have meditation and workout that holds habit stats. And then we build our matrix engine. And what this does basically, so it holds the category stats, and in its initializer for now, it takes habits that you pass in. It's a dictionary of habit ID that we defined earlier and an array of sessions, and it manually maps them to the correct category, as you can see. And now we can use it. For example, we initialize meditation session, that we put in our meditation category on an empty array of workouts. And we initialize an engine with the those habits, and we can start printing engine that mind, that meditation, that completion, for example, would be one in that case. That is today completed would be true because the date is now, and dot workout and completion would be 0 because we don't have any workout in this example. So I don't know about you, but I find this pretty cool. This is the where the fun begins for me. But we are not done having fun. Let's evolve our engine. Because the idea here is that we have to keep evolving engine based on what you want to try to achieve in your app, and just try to make it easier for future you. It's like adding Lego pieces together. So the first piece we're going to add is to add the .all to the stats categories. We want to have something like engine.mind.all.completions. It's pretty easy to do. All we have to do is to add this computed variable that adds all the categories together, and we can right away use it. Although, for this we need to define how to add two habit stats together. So this is how we do it. You probably know that. We extend habit stats to define the plus function. So when we take two habit stats, we return a new one that takes the two arrays of session and combine them together. Note that in the real world, you probably want to avoid the duplicates in case you, for example, you add the same habit stats by mistake, but let's keep it simple for now. So as you can see, it's composable. You can easily combine habit stats. And in the future, anytime you add a computed property in the future, it's going to benefit from this automatically. And it's pretty clear also when you write this. Oops. It's pretty powerful and simple, easy to read. So for example now, if we add a new computed property to habit stats, let's say total duration, when we go through the sessions and map the duration and reduce it, and add it together, we can right away use it by using engine.mine.all, the total duration, for example. And we can use the .all, by the way, for the statistics that we had earlier, of course, or for any individual habit. Let's add the second piece of Lego. So now we are going to replace the hard-coded habits with a dynamic system. We want to remove the need to write .meditation or .workout.hand and add any number of habits. So basically we want to do this. I did it one slide too early, sorry. Instead of having .meditation here. So how are we going to do that? So we remove all the let with the different categories here, and we replace it with a dictionary of habit ID for the keys and habit stats for the value. We change our computed variable to reduce all the habits together instead of manually adding them together. And by the way, we also added a function that returns the habit stats for a particular ID by just simply accessing the key. So we also need to change our initializer for the matrix engine, so we don't have to touch it anymore in the future. So yeah, basically we take the habits and put it in the right category automatically, because we don't have to hard code depending on the habits. Although we still have to maintain the categories in this struct. So now that we added this Lego piece, we can use our engine this way. We can do stats for .meditation that is today completed, and we can still do the .all stuff. So yeah, we can now add or remove habits without touching the category stats definition. Chaining still works, and there's a clean separation of data and logic. And now if we want to add a new habit, what do we have to do? We just add it in the enum. Done. Everything works. For example, now that I have a journaling habit, I just add the key, the category and the session to my habits when I feed the engine, and I can right away see the statistics like this. Pretty easy. Who's ready for another piece of Lego? Time filtering. So let's say we want to see the activity in the past 30 days or this week, and we want it to look like this. Let completion this week equal engine.mine.stats for meditation, let's say, dot total completion in the last 7 end days. We extend habit stats again with new computed properties, function, that return statistics. We're going to define a time range enum, and we are going to add a .contains method, and so we can easily have those 3 additional statistics: what's completing during the time range, total completion in time range, and total duration, for example. And oops, here's the time range enum. So for this example, we have 3 cases: .alltime, .today, or .last n days, and the contains method that we use to build the statistics. And so now we can easily see, for example, how many meditation did I do in the last 7 days, or the total duration of journaling in the last 30 days. So we just added flexibility to the engine without breaking the design. We enable time-based charts, comparison, etc. So our app is more and more powerful. And we didn't touch habit stats, and yeah, we didn't duplicate. Our last piece of Lego, I promise, no more after that. We're going to add streaks. By the way, streaks is a great way to retain your user, to improve the user retention. Duolingo, for example, I've tried it out and they made a blog post about it. It's pretty powerful. So we want to do things like you're on a 5-day streak, or your longest streak ever is 12 days, etc. So I'm not going to go through all the code, but the idea is the same as before. We extend our habit stats again with a current streak variable on a longest streak variable. And there we have it. Two new statistics available anywhere in our app. So this is how we calculate the current streak for meditation, for example, or current streak for any habit in the entire app. So we can see that now that we have stored the data separately in the session item, it pays off because we can add powerful insights at any time, like this streak feature. And now that we have streak, we can do progress charts, achievement badges, etc., etc. So here's a recap of all the Lego pieces that we assembled so far. We did the chaining syntax with the dot notation. We added the dot all for the category summaries, and we changed the structure to be dynamic. We add time filtering, and just only we added streaks as an example of derived matrix. But we could have done much more. Here's some examples of what we could have done. We could have done user-defined habits by using strings, so the user can create his own habits rather than having, depending on whatever enum we have in the code. We could have done grouping based on tags to have more flexibility in the way we group the data, etc., etc. One interesting thing we could have done is to export the stats by adding an export method to our engine. But you get the idea. So you add pieces of Lego together, you keep calm and iterate, and you build your own empire. You can bring peace, justice, and freedom to your new empire, like this guy. And so here are some tips. So you just need to start simple. You build your first matrix around clean data structure and computed property, and you iterate as needed. Keep flexibility in mind. Just use extensions on the statistics. And when you have new metric or category, you should just absorb it without reworking everything. It should feel like Lego, like we saw. Make data the source of truth. Avoid duplication. And that's common advice. And let the struct empower your UI. I wanna close by quoting Bob Sutton. From chaos comes creativity, and from order comes profit. So, do I see it when I create an app? Maybe it's the same for you. You have this chaos phase at the beginning, but that's where creativity sparks. You have sticky note, you have unnamed variable, etc. You build, you test, you delete, you rebuild. And at some point, your idea crystallizes, and you have this order phase that also brings clarity. That's why you start shipping the app. You have a clear logic, and that's why you can create things like this engine to profit and build the part that lasts. But you need the two phases. So that's your journey from chaos to order and from creativity to clarity. After this transition, the future does not feel anymore like a mess of edge cases. You feel like an excellent composer, and you feel ready to evolve your app as you need. And like I said, you need both phases. And even if your app does not have statistics, hopefully this approach can inspire you for your development challenges. That's it. Thank you.